guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be making a few Valentine's Day cards in my next few videos. This one I'm not going to do like any pinks or reds or anything like that, it's more blues. So I am taking some Distress Oxide inks and just placing them onto my nonstick craft sheet. I have Tumbled Glass, Stormy Sky, and Salty Ocean. This is one of the first few times that I'm actually using the oxides. I'm still kind of getting used to them and seeing what they're all about. And then I'm also going to be taking some of this Brutus Monroe Aqua Pigment in Pearl color and adding a few drops. That's just going to add some shimmer onto those Distress Oxides. And I have to say it looks really pretty on the card front, so I can't wait to use that with some Distress inks in the future. So I also added some water onto there. I just spritzed it, and I went ahead and dried the first layer, and then I'm going back in and picking up more of that ink. Now it turned out super light, which I didn't really want, so I'm taking some of the Salty Ocean and just adding that onto my nonstick craft sheet, just to make it a little bit darker. You can tell everything is kind of low in the video. I'm still getting back into making videos, kind of the process, so bear with me. I know you can still see it, but it's just not centered on the screen. So after I dip that in there, I'm just going to take my heat tool and dry that completely. And I'm going to add a little bit more texture onto my background. So I'm taking this ice cream cone stencil die and placing it over the top and then spritzing that with water. And then I'm not going to move it or anything, but I'm going to lay my microfiber cloth on there and pick up that water. And then it's just going to leave a really subtle texture in the background. You can see how that stencil worked. So the stamp set I'm using on this card is the Lawn Fawn Sealed with a Kiss. So I'm just taking my stamps. I'm going to take the 2 seal stamps and then use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. It's still one of my favorite inks. I know that people probably have a different favorite ink by now since it's been a couple years, but that's the one I have in my stash, so you use whatever you want. And then I'm also going to stamp the little speech bubble, and I'm using Coordination's 110-pound cardstock. You can use whatever cardstock you want for Copic coloring. So then I am coloring in these images with my Copic markers. Again, I haven't really used them in like 2 years, so still a little bit rusty, but practicing. I have the C1. And I'm coloring the entire seal image with that. That's kind of my light base layer. And then I'll go in with the C3 and add some shadowing into there. And then I'll take the C5, which is the next darkest color, and add just little bits of that darkest color. You don't want too much, otherwise it's going to get super dark. And then I'm going to go back in with the C3 and blend that out. And then before I take my C1, I'm just going to take this R20 and add a little bit of a rosy red cheek on the girl seal, I guess. Just because I'll probably end up giving this card to my husband for Valentine's Day, since it's not very girly. And then I'm taking my C1 and blending that all together. And then I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut these out. I know that there are matching dies, but I still don't mind just using my scissors and cutting them out. So next I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I have just a gray strip of cardstock. And then the sentiment says Sealed with a Kiss. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up on my clear acrylic block so that I can stamp that out. And then again, I'm going to be using my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And then stamping that right onto my cardstock. Okay, so now it's time to kind of put my card together. I'm going to adhere my cardstock strip onto my distress background. And then before I add my images or anything on there, I'm going to add some twine. So I'm going to use the cheater method, is what we called it when I worked at the scrapbooking store. So you just take a piece that's as long as your card base, and then tape it on to the back. And this is the easiest way to tie a bow so that you don't have to sit and try to tie it around there or anything like that. So you tape each side to the back, and then I'll cut another piece that's going to be my bow, and then I can go ahead and tie that right onto that string that's already on there. And that's a lot easier to tie instead of trying to get it all the way around the card and then not have it move and everything else. So I'm just going to add some 3D foam squares to the back of my little seals. And then place those right above my sentiment. And then I'll add one of the squares onto the back of that little speech bubble. And then I'm going to add this entire thing onto a navy blue cardstock base. And this is just a regular A2 size card. And when I do a darker card base color, I'll just take a sheet of white cardstock and add that onto the inside so that you can see your writing. Otherwise, you can always use like a silver metallic marker or something. So then I'm just going to add these little, gotta see what they're called. They're from Lucy's Cards. They're Jewels, the Platinum Mix. I think these are so pretty. I love adding them to my cards, and you get a ton in a package. I think this one will probably last me forever because I've already used them on a ton of different cards. So I'm just using my multi-matte adhesive and adding little drops onto my card. It doesn't take much adhesive at all. And then I'll go ahead and place those right onto the glue. I was going to add little glossy accent drops so that they look like water drops, but my glossy accents was clogged at the time and I didn't want to sit and try to get it unclogged. So I guess I was being a little bit lazy on this card and just going for the easier option in my craft room. Alright, so once I get that on there, then that is my finished card for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you back here next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not already. Bye everyone!